Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. My name is Laura T. Landergraf. I am the Senior Director of Public Relations and Thought Leadership at ECMC Group, and I'm really excited to be here today to share with you our public awareness campaign called Question The Quo. This campaign is really focused on empowering Gen Z teens to take that education and career path that's right for them. We've been speaking to these teens since before COVID and throughout, and I'm going to share with you some really interesting insights that we've uncovered and information that I think will be really insightful for us as we move forward and really figure out how to best serve and support learners and employers in our communities at large. So let's get started. As I mentioned, I am with ECMC Group. For those of you who don't know, ECMC Group is a Minneapolis-based nonprofit, and we are focused on helping students succeed. We transform lives through education, all the way from exploration through employment. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper just to give you a little bit more information about how we do that. We operate across the post-secondary education landscape. We, through our work as a guarantor, ECMC, we provide a multitude of financial literacy services and programs, and also really help students and families understand what that path to and that cost of that post-secondary education path will look like. Through our foundation, we distribute about $45 million a year in grants promoting college access and career readiness, again, across a multitude of areas. And then we also, through our ECMC education, we are a provider of career and technical education through our Altiris career colleges, which are located in Atlanta and Tampa and Houston. Those schools provide services and programs focused on the skilled trades and in the medical field. And then most recently, we launched Altiris Training Solutions, which is an opportunity for employers to upskill and reskill their teams. There's a definite skills gap in the HVAC field, and so this is a solution that we have provided to employers in recent months, and it's really having some really great results. And so as you can see, we do operate across the post-secondary education landscape, and then in addition, we do a bit of investing through our Education Impact Fund and also our Education Innovation Ventures. So through all of this, you can really see that ECMC Group is educating and training at the speed of change and really seeking to meet the needs of today, right, and for the learners of tomorrow as well. So a couple of years ago, through our work across the landscape, we really realized that there was a gap when it came to, broadening that aperture around post-secondary education. Our society tends to focus on that four-year path. There's nothing wrong with that path. We are pro-education regardless of what it looks like after high school. However, we realized that there was a lack of information about paths beyond four-year, and so we really wanted to broaden that aperture and really empower folks to take that education and career path that's right for them. So as we saw this gap, we decided that we wanted to launch a public awareness campaign, right? There isn't anything out there in the market. And then, in thinking about it and planning, we really took a lot of time to think about, who we should target with this campaign. Should it be high schoolers? Should it be parents? Should it be high school counselors, right? And so we really took a lot of time to think about the best way that we could have the most impact, and we decided to focus on those Gen Z teens, right? Knowing that they are in this time of their lives where they are really making these education decisions, but also realizing that we wanted to provide a resource to them, and also, and perhaps not, I was going to say lastly, but really most importantly, we understood that folks really weren't listening to this demographic or taking the time to see what they really wanted in that post-secondary education's path. So all of that combined, we decided to focus again on these high schoolers age 14 to 18, and really the goal was to give them the confidence to empower them to take that post-secondary path that was right for them. In developing the campaign, we really wanted it also to speak to them. We wanted it to be bold and welcoming and empowering. We didn't want it to appear to come from some company, organization, nonprofit up in Minneapolis. So we wanted it to be on trend to them. We actually took a couple of concepts to market, and Question The Quo was one that really resonated with this group, and so that's where we landed. as I mentioned, we started this campaign prior to COVID. We had actually conducted our first national survey of 1,000 Gen Z teens right before COVID, and we're going to release the results that looked at their insights, kind of what they wanted for that post-secondary education path, and then COVID hit. And so like so many others, we had to kind of step back and take a break and just kind of say, okay, let's reevaluate, let's see what happens in the marketplace and then decide how to move forward. Well, COVID didn't go away, right, anytime soon. And so we decided to do a follow-up survey in May. We thought it would be interesting either way to see, the world had shifted, had insights for this demographic shifted, right? And so we did a follow-up survey. Perhaps not surprising, it had just been a few months since COVID. COVID had kind of impacted all of us, and there hadn't been a big shift. I do think that we all thought that we were going to be back to normal much sooner than is the case. But so there wasn't a big shift, which wasn't surprising. But then in our subsequent surveys that we conducted in January of 2021 and in September of last year, we did start to see some major shifts, right? And there have been several articles written about, kind of what this COVID education environment has how that impact has been on students. And so it's not surprising then that impact is also impacting kind of what they want for their path going forward. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the statistics that we've uncovered over the past 2 years and share a little bit more about the campaign. We do have a campaign website, questionthequo.org, which I'll talk a little bit about a little bit later. And of course, given the demographic that we are targeting, we have done a bit on social media. I have to put a shout out, please follow us on our social media platforms and utilize hashtag Question The Quo. Here's just a snapshot of kind of some of the demographics of the groups that we have surveyed. It was really important to us that we had a really representative sample so that we could feel really confident in the data. Thus far, with these first 4 surveys, we surveyed over 4,000 students. Again, they had to be high school students, current students, from a variety of different demographics, different financial levels, right? Urban, rural, various ethnicities, and so on and so forth. Again, to be certain that we had a representative sample and that we could really trust the data that we were uncovering. So let's talk about some of the data. This was a major statistic that has come about that was really interesting to us. So in the past 2 years, there has been a 23 percentage point decline in teens' interest in that 4-year path, right? So if you think about that, that means 1/4 of teens right now are thinking, you know what, I don't think I want to go that 4-year path. And so for those, we need to make sure that they're educated about the other options that are available so that they realize that there are other options available and that there are things that really will help them, really feed their passions, right? And to be able to be successful in a career as going forward. So this is interesting to us, this 23 percentage point decline, and maybe not surprising. However, what is a bit surprising and a little bit concerning to us is there also has been a decline in their belief that education beyond high school is necessary, right? And as I mentioned earlier, we are pro-education, whatever type it is, after high school, right? And we also understand that the vast majority of jobs out there require some type of education and training beyond high school. And so this is really concerning to us and something that we all need to work to stem that tide, really and educate this upcoming generation that, you know what, you do need some skill-based training, some type of education beyond high school to be successful for the long run in your future. Perhaps not surprising, cost is king for this demographic when it comes to choosing that post-secondary path. 6 in 10 worry about how they will pay for college. 65% said the amount of student loans is a major factor in how they are determining what that future education path is going to look like. And 50% are concerned about graduating with a high amount of debt. This group is incredibly savvy, right? And they are seeing the headlines, and potentially they are seeing family members or others who have been strapped with student debt, and it's not where they want themselves to be, right? So they are taking a very keen eye to this future and really kind of, shopping with their pocketbook, right? And really looking at the return on investment before signing on the dotted line, which is really important and really a good trend that we've seen. This is very interesting, as I've talked about, that society does focus on that four-year path, right? And so perhaps not surprising, 86% feel pressure to pursue that four-year degree, right? So a vast majority are thinking, you know what, this is the path and maybe the only path that they think is a way forward. But while 86% feel pressure, half believe that they can be successful without that four-year degree, right? So there's a bit of a rub. So it's kind of, how do we make sure that this 50% of students understand that there are options available for them that can help them be just as successful, with that four-year path when done, strategically and with a path in mind, right? Because 62% of them do want to forge their own path, right? These are free thinkers and they want to go their own way. Again, I think that COVID has opened their eyes to the fact that maybe things, how they've been done, maybe aren't so good, and so they are wanting some different options. And what also is interesting is that 63% of them want more information. So a majority of them don't believe that they have the information that they need to really think beyond that four-year path, right? So it's really important for all of us to make sure to educate them and broaden that aperture again for the other opportunities that are available. As I mentioned, this is a really savvy group, right? And they are coming at this post-secondary education path with eyes wide open, right? And they do want to see changes in that post-secondary education space. They want more clarity when it comes to, if I receive this type of education or if this type of training, this is what it's going to look like when I take that to the job market, right? 62% of high schoolers right now actually have a career in mind, which to me, that's a high statistic, right? I think historically we have thought about those post-secondary education years as the time when students will find themselves, right, or kind of determine their calling. But what this is illustrating is that, they're making that decision earlier on because, again, they want to go into it with eyes wide open and make sure that they are putting their dollars forward in the best way possible. Right? They also are very interested in on-the-job training, right? Internships. They want to kind of come and test out the waters a little bit and see, I've read about this, but I want to test it out myself to see if it's something that I really want to do in the long term. They do understand that four-year path, that they will need to be lifelong learners, and so it seems to us that what's coming out is that they want this shorter, more affordable opportunity, and they understand that they are going to need to be lifelong learners. So maybe it doesn't make sense to put that much time into it initially because they're going to be reskilling and upskilling throughout their careers. We're highlighting this a bit on this slide because I think it's got two really interesting points. More than half of teens say that post-high school education should last less than 4 years, right? This goes back to the shorter and their belief that, I'm going to be reskilling and upskilling throughout my career, so I don't necessarily want to take 4 years to do it, right? And again, they also think that skills should be taught in these small hands-on classes, right? They want to test out the waters. They want to have some exposure, more exposure maybe than they've had, to really understand what this looks like. And again, internships, externships, getting them on the job earlier is something that would be really beneficial for them and also for employers as well, right? It's always good to judge fit on both sides. As I mentioned, they're savvy and they don't just want a degree, they want the skills for what's next, right? They understand that if they bring a skill to the market, that is going to make them much more appealing to employers out there in the field, right? In fact, 58% of them believe that a skilled-based education makes sense in today's world, right? So the more equipped I am with the skill and brought to the field, the more likely I am to be employed on the back end, right? 47% believe that a program they can complete in less than 2 years makes a lot of sense. Again, there's that shorter time frame. And perhaps what's really interesting is that 22% now are more likely to attend a career and technical college because of the pandemic, right? That's a 10-point shift in the past year. And so that's interesting too, and it's illustrating that folks are broadening their aperture to other options and looking at beyond that four-year path. All of these points do illustrate that career and technical education do meet teens' needs, right? We're not saying all teens, right? Because again, there is not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to post-secondary education, right? And we want teens to take the path that's right for them. For some, it will be a 4-year, for some, it will be a 2-year, for some, it will be a 9-month to start off with, but they understand that they will be upskilling and reskilling throughout their lifetime, right? For a long time, CTE has had a bit of a negative stigma. It's been viewed as, you know, kind of that second choice, right? Or for folks that couldn't get into a 4-year. And really what we're trying to do is get rid of that stigma, right? And let folks know that there are a lot of opportunities out there. You know, if COVID uncovered anything, it really illustrated that careers in career and technical education fields, like the skilled trades, like in healthcare, those are really essential, right? And they really help our economy grow. And so we really need to put more worth into these career paths and really support and champion students that want to go into these pathways. And again, there are numerous opportunities for them to upskill and reskill throughout their lifetimes, right? There's entrepreneurial opportunities, so all kinds of opportunities that are out there that students really need to understand and know about. These are just some interesting bullets that we pulled. You know, a third of teens, right, would consider attending a CTE school if these things were the case, right? If it was considered as valuable to employers as a 4-year degree. There has been a movement in recent months, right, where employers are looking to value skills over degrees, which we think is a really good thing, right? But these teens really need to understand that employers are looking for these skills, and so it will end up in employment if they are able to complete. Second, they want to make sure that they've got a job after graduation. And in a variety of these career and technical education fields, there are a lot of jobs available, right? And so at this point, there's a pretty good opportunity, and that they will have employment after they graduate. And then also, you know, they want more than a job. They want a career path, right? And so that if they understand that CTE provides an opportunity, that on-ramp, right, to get them going on their career trajectory, then again, that would be something that is really positive to them. And so I think it's just really, you know, taking the individual situation, laying out the options to them, and then letting them make the choice. But again, they're really focused on that return on investment and what that can look like to them for the future. Again, these teens are really savvy, and they want to see government and employers have a little bit of skin in the game, right? 38% believe that companies should provide formal education, some type of upskilling to help with that career trajectory. 1/3 believe that companies should provide money to pay off student loans, right? Tuition reimbursement has become a huge benefit for this demographic. And 47% believe that government should provide additional money to pay off student loans. So as much skin in the game as they're going to put, they also are looking to employers and government to play a role as well for the benefit of all. So thinking about all of these statistics, and there is a lot more data that's available, and I'll show you where you can access that. But you know, all of us as folks that are working in this post-education environment, you know, we really want to kind of think about how we can take this data and use it for the benefit of the future, right? Gen Z has made it clear that they expect employers to have skin in the game, right? Something that I just talked about. So it's really important to think about how employers can play a role in what that career trajectory looks like. And I think that, you know, we've seen in recent months that employers are getting more involved in providing, whether it's tuition reimbursement or interesting partnerships are happening between education and business to help you know, reskill and upskill employees. And so there's some really innovative things that are happening out there. And so I think that this is just an indication that needs to continue. We really need to make sure that we support learners and provide them with that full range of options that are available, so that they really can make an educated decision when they are going into this post-secondary world. This movement also to prioritize skills over degrees, I think that this is a really good thing, and I think that it will continue. Hopefully it will continue, because we really need to go beyond thinking that we need this one type of element to be a worthwhile and valued employee, right? And so it really is about providing information, looking for opportunities to help learners, and that in turn helps employers and then our economy at large. So really lots of opportunities that's coming out of this data, and things that we can really learn from as we develop solutions for the future. As I mentioned, we do have a website, questionthequo.org. I invite you to visit it. There's an intro video that kind of talks about what the campaign is all about. It's only 30 seconds, but I think it's very well done. And then there's all kinds of resources available on this website. We have several resources for students. We have a lot of resources that actually come from the work of our guarantor. We have an opportunities workbook that is basically kind of a hands-on guide that guides any students from 9th grade and beyond, kind of helps them work through kind of that decision-making process of what would work for them, talks about FAFSA completion, but it's really presented in a really appealing way for students. And so that's a resource that's available in English and in Spanish. And then we also have some specific information about career and technical education. We also talk about the various job fields that are available in CTE, right? I think sometimes we just think about the 3 or 4 of them, but there's really 13 different. They range from business to agriculture to healthcare and beyond. And so there's a lot of, again, on-ramps for folks, that they can start in CTE too, and then maybe they do go on to a 4-year path, and maybe it's something that, the cost is covered through an employer. And so there's just really a variety of ways, and it's just educating these young kids about what their options are. And then we've got choosing the right college. There's just a plethora of resources there that students are available to use. And we also have a section for partners, folks like you. We would love to have you all amplify the campaign. Again, it's just a public awareness campaign, right? It's just something to broaden that aperture. We've gotten a lot of really great feedback about the data. As I mentioned, this demographic hadn't been studied before, and so folks are really keenly interested in what we've uncovered, and they are using that as they develop plans for the future. Not surprising, we've done a bit on social media given the demographic that we are trying to reach. We have had some paid Instagram campaigns that have been really impactful. What's been interesting to us to see and illustrates that we are kind of meeting their need is that, for those of you who are on Instagram, you go through and you've got these sponsored posts. Well, these are sponsored posts, and what we're finding is not only are teens stopping and reviewing the information, but they're also posting comments and having these dialogues within these sponsored posts, right? Which to us illustrates that, okay, we are hitting a nerve, if you will, and it's also something that's very top of mind for them, and something that obviously they want to talk about and discuss, and that they're thinking about on a regular basis. Our social media campaign has garnered 43 million impressions across our platforms, and again I invite you to follow them to gather more information. As I mentioned, there has been a lot of great reception about the information that we've included, and it's been, last year we had 440 different articles written about the data, and a lot of folks are comparing this data with other data that's out there, right? Georgetown Center on Workforce Development does a lot of great things. National Skills, there's just a lot of folks that are out there kind of in this space, really trying to uncover what these various demographics are thinking, and then really, again, developing solutions. I mentioned that there's a lot more data points available. So if you go to our questionthequo.org and you go into the Buzz section, if you look for this graphic, this is a downloadable booklet that gives you all of the information, kind of trend lines and such, of the 4 surveys that we have conducted thus far. And so this is something that a lot of folks have found really interesting and, again, useful as they are looking to develop their solutions. We did just field a 5th national survey, didn't have the data together for this event, but we'll be releasing it later this month or early next. So please keep an eye out, on Question The Quo, or feel free to reach out to me, and we can get in contact and share that information, and we will be sharing it broadly as well. But really interested to see, what that data looks like in comparison to the past trend lines. I think that sometimes we think that, okay, we're finally getting out of this, and so will things go back to normal? And I don't know that they will, right? I think that we are in a new normal, and so it will be interesting to see where things land. So again, we'll be releasing that information, and really would welcome any amplification. If you want more information, we've got a lot of resources that we can make available to. Happy to share this information with your constituencies as well. Just again, really want this to be a resource for learners so that they can make the best choice for themselves in the future. Thank you so much for being here. That the chat has seemed to be very active, so I appreciate that. And as I say, feel free to reach out, visit our website, follow us on social, and we look forward to speaking about this more in the future. Thanks so much.